Hello everyone, my name is Madina and today we are going to talk about lesson structure, PPP. So let me just quickly introduce myself. I have been teaching for 6 years, almost 3 years in Skyeng team, and I used to be an assessor, used to do different stuff, different projects. And well, on a side note, I'm a huge lover of Korean culture, and today I will try to help you out a little bit with lesson structure and how to deal with seat structure. So today's agenda is quite simple. We're going to talk about PPP. PPP is a structure of the whole lesson, and PPP is a structure of some particular parts of the lesson. So let's start with just a few questions. How do you structure your lessons when you teach grammar, vocabulary, or functional language? Let's think about this question. And do we really need it? I mean, do you think that a lesson needs any sort of logical structure? Or we can just throw some activities at our students and expect them to understand what we want from them. And finally, have you ever heard about PPP? So I hope that we all can agree that we really need some kind of a structure. It makes our job easier and it makes our students understand our materials better. Now, PPP stands for presentation, practice, and production. It's just a framework which we use for our lessons when we teach grammar, vocabulary, and things like that. Unfortunately, we can't use PPP for something like reading, listening. When we teach skills, we can't use that. It's one of the drawbacks of PPP structure. But all in all, the structure is quite useful, quite simple, and just to know what you do, I think we can start with PPP. So let me elaborate a little bit. PPP consists of presentation. When we present our target language in context, well, to be honest, we can use anything, almost anything. Some pictures to set the context, maybe some dialogues, some situations, and so on and so forth. It doesn't mean that you have to open the grammar page, only the grammar rules. You can try different things. After that, we have to practice. Our students, they need to apply this new language in safe environment of the classroom. So when they do matching, gap fill, and so on. This is practice. And finally, when we talk about production, we usually mean communicative practice, some communicative exercises where our learners, they can apply this new target language, either grammar or vocabulary, in discussions, while answering some questions, giving opinions, and so on and so forth. We can think about it like this. Can they do it in their real life? Can they do it somewhere outside of the platform? Can they do it in their first language? And do we want them to do it in this language, I mean English? So production can be done orally or in writing, because essays, that's also production. Basically, when our students think, analyze, and produce something new while using our target language, that's what we call production. Okay. Now, this picture represents PPP in its ideal form. So presentation up to 10 minutes, practice up to 10 minutes, and production not less than 15 minutes. Let's think about it. So we don't want the lesson to become teacher-centered lesson, right? That's why we don't want to turn this lesson into lecture. Presentation up to 10 minutes. And production, so I think that it's obvious why we have to give not less than 15 minutes for production. First of all, here in Skyeng, we work with communicative approach. So we need to give our students some opportunities to produce something new, to communicate with us. And also everyone is different. So of course, some students may need more time for production. And all in all, production is like the key point of learning language. Now, Let me just show you a few examples of presentation. So here you can see that we have this exercise, but do our students, they really need to do something? I don't think so. But you can use this exercise as a springboard for your explanation. You can use it as your chance, as your opportunity to explain new grammar, to elaborate a little bit, to elicit maybe some ideas. Now here, our students, they have to do something, right? You may even ask yourself, who is the leader on this page? Who is doing the job? If it's you, it's presentation. If it's your student, it's either practice or production. Okay. And finally, production. Yes, we have some things to choose from, but we also have these gaps, and our students, they need to think and answer about themselves, either orally or in writing. So do you play any sport? How well can you do that? They need to think, they need to answer about themselves. Okay. Now, looking at this page, what is where? Where is presentation? Where is practice? Where is production? What do you think? So let me help you out a little bit. The first one is practice, because our students, they have to do that, right? They have to choose the correct option and they have to cross out the wrong one. Now, number two, do they have to do something like matching, gap fill? No. But we can use this exercise to point out our target grammar. And finally, number three, make notes of what you are going to do at these times. So we want our students to answer this question and to talk about themselves. That's production. Now, just a little bit of theory or history. PPP is quite old. I mean, it's quite old for the structure. It started somewhere in the 80s and it's still very, very popular. There are a lot of course books which are based on PPP. For example, New English File, based on PPP. And like I said, it has some drawbacks, of course. Sometimes it's difficult to stick to the timing. But like I said previously, PPP is simple. Maybe that's why it's so durable, it's logical, and it works just fine with our platform. Now, talking about our platform. So now let's take a look at PPP as a structure of the whole lesson. And for that, I would like to open our amazing platform, general course, elementary level, lesson number 11, an artist and a musician. And you need to keep in mind that our presentation is always somehow connected to the main goals of the lesson. So where can we find them? First of all, we can find them in preparation part. Study the vocabulary, study the grammar. If you scroll down, you can see in this lesson you will. So here, vocabulary and topic professions and present simple and articles. That's it. That's our main goals. But also we can find them in our warm-up page. By the end, you can see today we are going to discuss. That's it. And another place, results, right? So by the end of the lesson, you can say, okay, today you've talked about this and that, and now you can do this and that. That's it. Now, I think that it's obvious that some pages are more focused on presentation, some pages are more focused on practice, and some pages are more focused on production. Let's take a look at this lesson and let's try to find them. So, our presentation probably would be somewhere on the page number 4 and 5, because our main focus is vocabulary, professions. Let's take a look at the page number 4. And yes, here we have a few cards with some words, with some professions. That's it. That's your case, and that's your opportunity for your presentation. Also, page number 5, at least the beginning of the page, where we have word list, we can't just add these words to the vocabulary, right? We have to explain, elaborate, give some examples, and so on and so forth. So yeah, again, that's your presentation. And page number 6, where we can see there is no matching, no gaps, nothing for your student to do. It means that this is presentation and you will have to explain or revise some materials. That's it. That's your presentation for the lesson. And now let's take a look at the page number 3. I think that it's obvious that this is practice. Your student will have to match something, so clearly that's practice. And after that, page number 5, at least the second half of this page, practice, totally. They have to write, they have to do something, so yeah, that's practice. And now page number 7, again, practice, because our students, they have to choose the right option, as well as page number 9, where they also have to choose the right option. See here. And page number 12 and 10 and 11, all of them, they have a little bit of practice here and there. Now, the question is, where is production? Because remember, we say that, okay, for production, we need not less than 15 minutes. So if you open almost every single page, by the end of them, you can also discuss questions. That's your opportunity to ask these questions and to make your students communicate with you. That's production. But the huge chunk of production we have here, page number 12. By the end of the page, we have 2 cards, and if you open them, you have this huge chunk of production, while your students will be answering the questions. That's it. Now, I just want to remind you that PPP is just a framework, and you can fill it in with different activities. If you see that it's necessary, you may add some things. If you see that it's necessary, you may skip some parts. How to do that and why, we will discuss right about now. So PPP is a structure of some particular parts of the lesson, and for that, let me open every single page for you. So page number 2. What is where? Where is your presentation? Where is your practice? Where is your production? If you look at the first part, we have 2 pictures, and here, those pictures, we can use them to set the context. So it will be your small presentation, not the presentation for the whole lesson, not the main goals of the lesson, but just small presentation where we ask a few questions and where we set the context. After that, we have the exercise, so that's practice. And finally, you can also discuss, so that's production. So now let's move to the page number 3. And here, well, if we look at this, do we have to present something? Can we skip presentation? I think that yes, we can. That's why it's very important to get ready for your lessons, because some pages, they may correlate with each other. So page number 2 and page number 3, they clearly have some connection. So you don't have to present anything. You can start right away with practice. And after practice, you can also discuss. So that's production for you. Okay. Now page number 4, we have some cards and nothing else. So like we discussed previously, that's presentation. But if we open additional information here, it can turn into practice, because your student will see this and they can model this thing. They can do the same. What does he do? He is a pilot. What does he do? He is a doctor. What does he do? And so on and so forth. So they don't produce something new. They just basically repeat the same pattern. So that's practice. No production here, but it's fine. Maybe it's somewhere on the next page. So page number 5, after presentation, practice, we of course have production. You can also discuss again, and a lot of questions which you can ask. Great. Now page number 6, as I've already mentioned, presentation, and you can also discuss for production. Well, it feels like it's not enough, it feels like there's not enough presentation. So I really encourage you to use our notes and attachments, because in attachments we have whiteboard, which you can use, put in the middle, for example, put some arrows, some pictures, and make it more interesting for your student. Or you can use notes to add some other examples for this revision of articles. Now, page number 7, we have practice. And I just want to say that page number 6 and 7, they again somehow relate to each other. But for some students, you may even skip page number 7, because after your presentation and after your production in page number 6, you can see that some students, they perfectly well can use articles already. You don't need this additional practice, and you can skip page number 7. Now, page number 8. And here we have cards once again, so you probably would like to model the sounds, explain a little bit. After that, practice and no production. But it's fine, because we can, if you see that there is no production, you can ask a few questions. Like, for example, was it difficult for you? Ask for feedback. Was it difficult? Did you understand it? Did you know it before? Something like this. Okay? Now, page number 9, again, you can use this picture to set the context. Then practice and no production, but it's fine, because page number 10, we have the continuation of the previous exercise. So that's just practice, and finally production, with you can also discuss what do you think his job is. So they need to think, they need to analyze, and they need to give you an answer. And finally, I just want to focus on page number 12. After all this practice, we have 2 cards, and I think that focus on these cards, and I would recommend to open the second card, not the first one, because look, in the first card we have all the same questions which we have already discussed with your student. Probably, if you ask a few things from, you can also discuss section. What do you do? Where do you work? And so on. So I think there is no need to repeat it, but of course it's up to you. And second card, what does he do? Where and when does he work? And so on. So I think it would be more productive to use this card. So that's it, the last chunk of production. Now let me get back to my presentation. Well, that's actually it. And let me summarize everything. So I think it's obvious PPP structure is a good basic structure for wrapped up lesson. You really can sometimes skip some parts, some pages, but of course you need to explain and present some new information, either new grammar or new vocabulary for your students, because we can't expect them to answer our questions or use something without any explanation. And don't forget to try and wrap up the lesson with production, because it makes them feel like the lesson was finished appropriately. Now I know what to do, now I know how to speak. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm sure that as soon as you master PPP, you will feel confident and you would like to explore other teaching approaches. There are a lot of them, they're all different, but just to know what you do, just to, well, to know some steps which you can follow, I think PPP is quite nice. Now, thank you very much for your attention, and don't forget to sign up for our practical workshop to discuss some cases, to discuss some lessons, and you can also come with some questions of your own. So see you, thank you, and goodbye.